I'm Katerina Schwartz, and I'm running for VPMCS at the QM.
All right. So first, in your manifesto, you say that you want to make more spaces available to clubs and societies, as well as promote membership. What will you do that is different than your predecessors that will be more successful?
Well, as I learned yesterday, is that we actually do offer quite a lot of the rooms that I wanted to actually book out already, but I think it's more about making that information readily available, because if someone if I don't know and I'm on board and work quite closely with the current VPMCS, then how do other people know? So I think it's just trying to, introduce people slowly to the QM so that they feel more comfortable within the building.
Mm. So more specifically on societies then, how do you think that QMU can compete with West End bars and pubs that will pay for affiliation or provide incentives for societies to meet in those places rather than the QMU?
I think we do have to offer our membership in societies a little bit extra in order to get them to come. Nowadays our bars are usually empty, and whilst societies that are currently affiliated do use them, they don't use them frequently enough for socials. It's more of a pit stop more than anything. So it's more about trying to get people to stay, and I think it's just letting people know that at the end the QM is probably safer than a lot of the bars in the city centre. It is on campus, it is a student union. We are there primarily to serve the students, and they would be our main focus, whilst bars, they have many different types of customers, they have other customers, and so there's definitely a lot more accountability within the QM than in the city centre.
Mm. So what is your plan on improving QMU's image to clubs and societies as well as the student body at large? Especially more specifically, how do you improve that image to these societies?
I think it's slowly introducing the QM to freshers at first during Freshers Week, showing how much fun you can have there, the different range of activities we offer, and through that, hopefully, as freshers join societies, they'd be able to steer societies towards the QM more. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
Sort of changing it from within almost.
Mm-hmm. So you also talk about increasing perks of membership, but QMU is known for having a tight budget. How do you plan on providing perks that are not already offered given the tight budget?
Well, if we have more members coming in regularly and spending money because they think that they'll have perks, I think that will sort of offset any loss that we may make. It'll just be a case of trying to run more events that are successful, that appeal to a wider audience, and trying to, find, I want to say self-fundraising, and I said this last night, and people seem to think that it meant that we wouldn't fundraise for other charities, but we are in ourselves non-profit, and I think that if we hold one fundraiser that would help us, introduce our membership and include our membership and further our membership, then that could help us in the future.
Okay. Your manifesto also talks about how you plan to address the QMU associated harassment claims, and this appears to be very important to you, as you called for a very similar plan when you were president of the Isabella Elder Feminist Society. Do you think this is achievable given that the nature of your position or sought-after position focuses more on relations with societies?
It is, because in the end we need to protect societies there, and they would need to feel safe within the building in order to use it. So I think that anyone on board in the future is reasonable enough and is aware enough to know that this is an issue that we face, and so would listen to any sort of attempt to make it, address these sexual harassment issues that we have.
All right. You have, as I said earlier, you have been the president of the Isabella Elder Feminist Society, but there has been concerns raised under your leadership, including the shrinking size of membership. How well does this correlate to your sought-after position?
Well, it's a very difficult position in Isabella Elder for starters, because we're one of two societies on campus. We've always been relatively small, and I guess I could have tried harder to push for events that appeal to a wider audience, whilst instead I sought after, panels that perhaps few were interested in, and there were some problems within that. So I don't think it's much of an issue, because I guess I've learned from the mistakes. I know what I've done wrong. Also, it's much easier for a union to appeal to more people than it is for, say, a feminist society growing, considering the nature that feminism has and how negative it is seen.
So you just mentioned about your panels and how you faced some criticism for it, but one of those criticisms was that you were seen as more or less legitimizing the controversial publication, the Medusa Review, by inviting them to one of these panels on women in student journalism. Do you think that this is in contrast to your manifesto when you say that the QMU is a wonderful place and its strength is in its members, and students should feel comfortable about spending time in its walls?
No, because anything I do in the QM is separate to the Medusa Review. I'm not trying to legitimize them. I was merely inviting them because they were a student paper on campus. I thought that perhaps, given the nature of the first paper, that it would be interesting to hear what any editor may say. And turns out they are trying to move in a different direction. I wasn't trying to validate any views that they have said so far or have said. I was really trying to have some sort of a discussion going within the panel.
So would you believe that you would include the Medusa Review if they were to, say, have an event or offer to have an event at QMU? Would you be susceptible to allow that?
No, because I think that they've had enough problems in the past that would, would reflect quite negatively both on the QMU and what I'm trying to achieve within it. It would not work. I don't see any way that I would work with them in the future.